Hello everybody. So I want to thank you all for staying on top of this with me and giving me information as you find it. And I found something this morning that I just couldn't keep to myself. I have to tell you guys because I know that there are people out there that know more about this particular branch of government than I do, and this HAARP know more about HAARP than I do. So I wanted to go over what I actually found. So I'm going to read you this police report. I'm sure that many of us have heard that Alexis was feeling like he was hearing or had microwave waves or transmissions being sent through his body. Anyways, here's the official report, and I'll just read it really quickly to you guys. Now let's remember that this is from August 7th of this year, because I think that that is important to this situation. On arrival, we met with Aaron Alexis. Alexis stated that he is a naval contractor and that he travels often. Alexis went on to explain that while going on to his flight from Virginia to Rhode Island, he got into a verbal altercation with an unknown party at the airport. Now, I've been leaning more and more towards this idea of Aaron Alexis being, having been gang-stalked, and that's because I've worked with schizophrenic people. I actually went to school for psychology, and I know a lot about schizophrenia, and I'll kind of explain a little more into this a little bit more, but basically what I'm seeing is a totally normal guy, as observed by everyone around him, suddenly snaps and does these crazy things. So I have to wonder, was this a real altercation that actually happened, or was it voices? Because if it was voices, I don't think it was schizophrenia. I really don't, reading into this more. So anyways, moving on, Alexis believes that the individual that he got into an argument with has sent 3 people to follow him and keep him awake by talking to him and sending vibrations into his body. So maybe, again, these 3 people actually did exist. Maybe they didn't. Maybe he was just going crazy. Alexis stated that he has not witnessed any of these individuals, but believes they are 2 black males and a black female. Alexis stated that he first heard them talking to him through a wall while at the Residence Inn in Middletown. Alexis then packed up and went to a hotel on the Navy base where he heard the same voices talking to him through the walls, floor, and ceiling. Now, this could be a common trait of dissociative identity disorder, which is, I believe, the new term for multiple personality disorder. Let me just make sure that dissociative identity disorder. But this is the new term for multiple personality disorder, and basically when he's hearing the same 3 individuals, that could be a symptom of schizophrenia, but it also could be a symptom of that. But the thing that bothers me the most about this is that Alexis was 34 years old, and he joined the military within just the past few years. And he's been doing government jobs for a very long time, so if anything was wrong with him mental health-wise, they wouldn't have allowed him to do the things that he was allowed to do. The other thing that bothers me about it is that schizophrenia notoriously sets in around your early 20s. It doesn't generally happen just when you hit the age of 34 years old. So that kind of ties into what this next statement says. Oh, I'm sorry. The next statement is actually about the microwave machine. Then Alexis stated that the voices were coming through the ceiling. Alexis stated that the individuals are using, quote-unquote, some sort of microwave machine to send vibrations through the ceiling, penetrating his body so he cannot fall asleep. And this is eerie. This immediately, to a lot of people, screamed HAARP, and I can absolutely see why. When I asked Alexis what the individuals were saying to him, he would not elaborate. Alexis said that he has never felt anything like this and is worried that these individuals are going to harm him. So this is another red flag to me that says that he did not have any type of mental disorder. This is because usually when somebody is suffering from such extreme schizophrenia, that they're hearing voices and being so paranoid like this, calling the police, moving their hotel 3 times, that is a late onset symptom. So again, he must have been showing signs of schizophrenia in his earlier years in order for him to be at this point now. Also, the fact that he says he has never felt anything like this and is worried these individuals are going to harm him says that he understands that what he's feeling is out of the norm and that he's acting outside of normalcy and that it's kind of out of his control. Now, this isn't a breakthrough that we hear a lot with schizophrenic people. They're usually so concerned about their schizophrenia and the voices and trying to decipher what's real and what's fake. Well, he says he's never felt anything like this. And that again tells me, hey, he hasn't had symptoms before he was 34, which would be highly unusual for something like paranoid schizophrenia. He stated that he does not have a history of mental illness in his family and that he has never had any sort of mental episode. So again, he's saying flat out he's never had a mental episode before, and schizophrenia wouldn't just go from 0 to 10 like this, 0 being hearing nothing, not feeling paranoid, to 10 being I had an invisible altercation, I had 3 invisible people talking to me through the floors, through the walls, and sending waves through me. That doesn't happen that quickly. That happens over a period of years. I advise Alexis to stay away from the individuals that are following him and to notify NPD if they attempt to make contact with him. Now, this last line is blurred out, which I think is really interesting because I wonder what that says. So anyways, like I said, as someone who went to school for psychology and has worked for years with people with mental health disorders, this statement to me says that he did not have schizophrenia, because there's no way that he would have all of a sudden, bam, just been paranoid schizophrenic and started hearing these things with no previous symptoms. So that's eerie in itself. And then I moved on to another article that I read today. And this article says that his shotgun that Alexis brought into the Naval Yard had messages carved into the stock of it. And one of the messages was, "My ELF weapon." Now, I'd heard this ELF term before, but I couldn't remember where, so I Googled it. And lo and behold, HAARP comes up as the #1 result. Generating extremely low frequency waves in the 0.1 Hertz range. These are next to impossible to produce any other way, because the length of a transmit antenna is dictated by the wavelength of the signal it must emit. So this is just Wikipedia. It's notoriously terrible to use as a source, but it does say right here, these are next to possible to produce any other way. So by HAARP's own admittance, extremely low frequency waves do not normally exist outside of HAARP. And so then we see again ELF, and it's all over the place on this page. Let's see if I can find it one more time. ELF, those are just sources. But actually here might be a couple, I'll cite you guys to these sources. These might be a couple of good ones to look at to kind of learn exactly what extremely low frequency waves are and how they can be connected to HAARP. So I put this out here because I'd really love to hear from those more experienced in HAARP, and I want to know what you think of the Gangstalking idea. Do we think that he was being mind controlled and hearing voices because they were in his mind, but they were being put there? Do we think he's schizophrenic? Do we think that he was being gangstalked by real people? And how is HAARP involved if any of those three are reality? So thanks for paying attention, guys. I appreciate that you're all giving me the information that I am very interested in, and I'm going to try to keep doing